The historic courthouse, Alamance County's enduring history. It's been more than 350 years since John Lederer first set eyes on the rich soil of this land in 1670. It would be another 179 years, however, until a resolution presented by Giles Mebane to the North Carolina State Legislature would ultimately result in the creation of Alamance County on April 24, 1849. Further legislation called for the county to purchase up to 100 acres of land to establish a county seat. That land was to be sold off as lots, and the profits from that sale would be used to construct a courthouse and a jail. Prior to the formation of Alamance County, court was held at various locations for the citizens of western Orange County, so that they wouldn't have to make the difficult journey to the courthouse at Hillsborough. One of those sites is believed to have been located off of what is today called Basin Road, northeast of the town of Hall River and east of the town of Green Level, near Graham-Mebane Lake. Once Alamance County was established in 1849, the county court and commissioners met at the now demolished Providence Meeting House near the Providence Christian Church in Graham. The first meeting of the county commissioners was held on June 4, 1849, and after setting a local property tax rate of 35 1/4 cents and a poll tax rate of 73 3/4 cents, the commissioners turned to the business of the courthouse. A budget of $8,000 was set to purchase land for the county seat and to build the new courthouse. The original plan was for the courthouse and county seat to be located near the center of the new county, but the land there near exit 147 in Graham was too soggy and marshy, and so the seat was moved a short distance north. A square of 75 acres of land was purchased for $623 from three farmers, John A. Holt, Joseph M. Freeland, and William Clendenin. The purchased land was subdivided into lots, which was sold for varying prices to local groups and investors for over $5,500, save for a 297-foot square in the center, which was to be reserved for the courthouse square. The 1852 courthouse was constructed with brick for $6,400, or around $163,000 in 2009 money. The roof was supposed to have been made of either tin or zinc, but there's some indications that it may have been copper at some point during its history. It featured a cupola at the top of the building which housed a 400-pound bell, which is believed to be the only surviving piece of this original courthouse, and which currently resides at Sesquicentennial Park in the courthouse square in Graham. By the 1880s, after 30 years, a civil war, and a host of other local events, the courthouse's limited space and age were beginning to be a factor, and so the county approved the addition of east and west wings. Additionally, the outside of the courthouse was stuccoed. These additions cost $7,500, or $177,000 in today's money. 3 decades later, a memorial to Confederate soldiers was added to the grounds and dedicated on May 21, 1914. The original courthouse was much smaller than our present courthouse, with only 2 floors of space and with the width of the courthouse being not much larger than our current courtroom. That small space was shared by all branches and levels of government, federal, state, and local. While there are persistent rumors of a fire at the original courthouse, it was the lack of space that fed the decision to tear down the small, aging building, which was demolished in 1923 to make way for its replacement. The historic courthouse's cornerstone was laid on November 17, 1923. Just over 1 year later, on November 23, 1924, the courthouse was dedicated by Judge W.A. Devon. At the time, the 4-story courthouse was considered to be one of the best examples of modern architecture in the state of North Carolina, and the $253,925.82 cost, or $3.16 million in 2009 money, reflected that. From that time on, the courthouse in Graham became a major center for town functions, community gatherings, and of course, government business. It has been used for celebrations and anniversaries of important historical events, cultural and intellectual events and speeches, weddings, and even the occasional fashion show. It was also used extensively during the 1920s and 30s by the local African American community as a center for social activities after church services on Sundays. The courthouse was designed by architect and Greensboro resident Harry Barton, who also designed the Guilford, Cumberland, and Johnson County courthouses. The design comes from the neoclassical revival style, which was a popular style from the 18th century until the Great Depression. Other examples can be seen in buildings like the Lincoln Memorial and Grand Central Terminal. Some of the unique elements on the outside of the courthouse include the flat roof concealed by a parapet wall and balustrades, the raised first story, the hexastyle portico with fluted Doric columns topped with acanthus and palmette flourishes and matching pilasters found throughout the structure, decorative friezes, and subtle use of multiple colors in the terracotta building material. Looking past the granite stairs and columnar iron lamps, the entrances to the courthouse feature entablatures resting on scroll consoles and decorated with a crest of anthemion and palmette annexes. And of course, there are the large words, Alamance County Courthouse at the very top of the portico. Stepping through the doors, we enter the central hallway, an open, spacious hall trimmed with fine wood and boasting an impressive ceramic mosaic tile floor, all culminating in the central octagon where a marble medallion radiates outward. The 4 doors that lead from the center of the first floor point to the compass points, with the door leading to the Confederate Memorial being north. The first floor of the courthouse houses the offices of the Clerk of Court. The ceiling of the first floor features a type of molding that resembles teeth and is referred to as dental tooth molding. The molding in any of the rooms where the original ceiling is visible can sometimes reveal information about the original government agency that occupied that room. Some rooms have very plain molding and were used for functions like agriculture. Others, such as our courtroom, feature very detailed molding and were used to house agencies and conduct functions that were considered to have more prestige. One office, the one in the southwest corner of the first floor, hosted the original offices of the Sheriff's Department and featured wire glass windows that would be more difficult for prisoners to break through. As a part of the recent refurbishment project, the entire first floor was extensively reworked to bring the courthouse back, as closely as possible, to its original 1924 appearance, and also to make it a more accessible workspace for those who work in the courthouse. This involved removing paneling that was not part of the original design, increasing workable space, improving temperature control, restoring old covered-up doors and windows, and replacing windows to improve temperature management and reduce noise. While every effort was made to preserve the history, some improvements needed a 21st century touch, including replacing the outside window fixtures that had extensive deterioration with newer fixtures. The basement area was also extensively refurbished. Improved lighting makes the basement feel much less cramped and helps to increase usable space. Extensive waterproofing has also been done to help prevent damage from decades of leaking roofs and pipes. Also, dangerous materials such as asbestos were removed from the courthouse. And while refurbishing restrooms may not be glamorous, the extensive refurbishments done to these restrooms will be a welcome change to anyone who's ever needed to use one. The courthouse basement featured 4 bathrooms, 2 for men and 2 for women. These bathrooms were split into public and staff use. However, years of use had left its mark on all of the laboratories. These bathrooms, along with the remainder of the basement, were extensively refurbished and repaired. Moving out of the basement, we focus on the courthouse stairs. Years of use and multiple coats of paint have masked the beauty of the original iron railings, which have now been restored to their original appearance. In the corners of the courthouse are rooms that were originally used for county and state government offices, but which will now be used for court officers, clerks' offices, and other uses related to the function of the courthouse. As with many neoclassical revival buildings, more flourishes were placed into the large, impressive spaces than into the smaller functional rooms. However, each room has its own use and its own character, and each one was extensively overhauled in order to improve its usability, improve temperature control, meet accessibility guidelines, and repair damage done by decades of wear and tear. This includes internal damage done by leaking pipes and a damaged roof. While the roof itself was repaired in 1996, the water damage remained. Now that damage is repaired and the rooms are ready for their assigned uses. Finally, we move into the courtroom, the grandest space in the courthouse. The courtroom features an impressive set of architectural features, including the dental tooth moldings found on the first floor, pedimented overdoors, cornices, and raised panel doors and wainscots. The large balcony and beautiful chandelier augment this stately room, and the original judge's bench from 1924 is a capstone that enriches this impressive space. Major renovations were done to the courtroom to improve upon the years of use. For many years, the courtroom windows were walled up to prevent noise from interfering with the business of the courts. Thanks to improvements in window technology, the old windows were able to be replaced with new ones that would keep out the noise, but still allow natural light and heat to be used, and as closely as possible restoring the courtroom to its original 1924 appearance. The use of natural light and heat will also help to reduce energy costs. Other additions include the replacement of most of the chairs in the courtroom with better quality seating, refurbishing the floor, restoring the wood to its original appearance, and repairing the room's fabric ceiling and installing a drop ceiling with recessed lighting. A beautiful paint scheme of yellows and off-whites augment the intricate varnished woodwork over the judge's bench. Finally, soundproofing was done to help reduce the ambient noise of the room. The result of all of these updates and all of this work is a return to the impressive space that Harry Barton originally intended, using up-to-date building techniques to ensure that his will be a lasting vision. The Alamance County courthouses have been a center for our community and a link to our common history since 1849. Our current courthouse has served our community for over 85 years, and thanks to preservation and revitalization efforts by the citizens of Alamance County, it will continue to do so for many more. We hope that our presentation has both informed and entertained you, and that you will walk away with a greater appreciation for this fantastic and impressive historical landmark.